Right, so today we're diving into something, well, really quite remarkable.
hmm
Kieślowski's Three Colors trilogy, blue, white, and red.
Absolutely masterful films.
They really are. And they're not just great cinema, are they? They feel like these uh, incredibly personal explorations of
Yeah.
those big French Revolution ideals, liberty, equality, fraternity. But, like, forget the politics for a second.
Yeah, he takes it somewhere else entirely.
Yeah.
He's looking at them on a human level.
Exactly. We want to unpack how he turns these huge ideas into something really intimate, sometimes, well, quite painful human experiences.
That's the core of it, I think.
And our plan, really, for this deep dive is to show you how the main color in each film, it almost becomes a character itself.
It really dictates the mood, the themes,
Yeah.
weaving everything together.
Yeah, weaving together all this emotion, philosophy, human connection, hopefully giving you a totally fresh way to look at these big themes. So, let's start with blue.
Okay, blue. It's fascinating how Kieślowski uses blue here. You immediately think liberté, freedom, right,
Yeah.
from the flag.
Right, the obvious connection.
But for him, it's so much more than just superficial personal liberty. What he seems to be exploring is this profound kind of release.
The release, how so?
Liberation from emotional bonds, yeah. From the sheer weight of the past and maybe even from your own identity, who you thought you were.
And blue just plunges us right into that, doesn't it? Through Julie.
Oh, absolutely.
She's dealing with this just unimaginable loss, her husband, her daughter. And then on top of that, she finds out about his infidelity.
It's devastating. A real emotional maze, as you say.
Mm.
Love, loss, betrayal, anger. It's all tangled up.
And her first instinct is this radical freedom, this attempt to create a complete void, cut all ties, erase memories.
Yeah, she tries to just disappear into herself.
Yeah.
But the film really pushes back against that idea, doesn't it?
It does. It shows that just fighting your emotions, trying to suppress them, it doesn't actually destroy them.
No, it just maybe postpones dealing with them. It postpones real liberation.
So that brings up the question, what is true freedom, according to Blue?
Well, that's the crucial point, isn't it?
Right.
We often think freedom means shedding things, breaking free from stuff. But Kieślowski seems to flip that.
Right.
He seems to argue that real liberation isn't from our pain, but actually found by going courageously through it.
Through the pain itself.
Yeah, it's about how we choose to engage with those very emotions that hurt us most. Julie's journey, ultimately, isn't about purging everything. It's more about making peace with it all. Like her decision to complete her late husband's musical composition.
Oh, yes, the music.
That's huge. It's her way of taking the past, even the painful parts, and giving it new meaning. It's a step towards forgiveness, sure, but also towards genuine inner freedom.
And the music in this film. Wow. It really is like another character.
Totally. It mirrors her inner world so precisely.
Sometimes it's overwhelming, sometimes there's just silence, but even the silence feels significant, like a purification almost.
Yes, exactly. It's not about suppressing feeling, but maybe sensing it differently. It's such a powerful, almost wordless narrative tool he uses.
So bringing it all together for Blue, what's the takeaway?
Well, I think Blue becomes this really poignant story about rebuilding your identity after immense trauma,
Right.
and the color blue itself. It kind of signifies both things. That initial emotional coldness, her
It's
detachment.
a void she tries to create.
Exactly. But also eventually a kind of stark clarity. The clarity that lets her see a way forward.
So freedom isn't breaking the chains.
No. Kieślowski seems to quietly suggest it's more about learning how to carry the past. And maybe accepting that, as he put it, every kind of freedom carries with it a shade of solitude.
A shade of solitude. That's quite profound. And it leads nicely into white, actually.
Yes, the shift in tone is immediate.
That sense of quiet, almost cold reflection in blue. White feels different. A very different emotional temperature.
Oh, completely. Here, white.
Yeah.
It's definitely not about purity or innocence, is it?
No, not at all. Kieślowski uses it to represent what? Emotional coldness? Emptiness?
Yeah, kind of neutralization. You really see it in those stark, icy Polish landscapes, don't you?
And in Dominique's wedding dress, which feels less celebratory and more stark.
Stark, exactly. And you feel it constantly in Carol's own emotional void after his humiliation.
Right. And that drives his whole plan for revenge against Dominique. It's so meticulously calculated.
That's the key word. Calculated. It's driven by this cold reason, almost a perverse logic, not by raw, hot emotion.
Yeah.
White becomes like a blank canvas for his own warped sense of justice.
And the ending of White, it leaves you hanging, doesn't it? about Carol and Dominique. So ambiguous.
Famously ambiguous, but what's fascinating is how Red, the next film, sort of offers a subtle resolution.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, when we see them again briefly at the end of Red is the dominant color associated with their reunion, not white. It suggests Carol has kind of repainted that cold white canvas with his own version of justice, however twisted.
Which really challenges our usual ideal of equality, you know?
Absolutely. Carol achieves equality, not through balance or fairness, but by inflicting equal suffering, equal humiliation.
He gains power, he ignores her, isolates her. The sources say without love, without forgiveness.
It's brutal, an equality born from mutual moral decay, as they put it. It really makes you stop and think about what equality can sometimes mean in practice.
And that final scene, Carol looking at Dominique in prison. What does that look?
Exactly. Is it regret? Is there still a spark of love? Or something else entirely? Kieślowski just leaves it hanging there.
Deliberately ambiguous.
Completely. And through this color, white, he's asking us, isn't he? When everything is equal, leveled out, what's left? Forgiveness, love, or just emptiness?
Wow.
He hammers it home. White is the color of unanswered questions because, well, life doesn't always give neat answers either. It leaves you pondering long after the film ends.
That ambiguity is powerful, and it feels like a good bridge to Red, which explores fraternity, but also empathy, connection, transformation.
Yes, Red feels warmer somehow, despite the underlying loneliness.
We meet Valentine, this young model, and the elderly judge, both quite isolated figures in their own ways.
And their meeting, sparked by her accidentally hitting his dog. It feels like more than just chance, doesn't it?
It really does. Less coincidence, more fate, a fated collision. And over the course of the film, they slowly become these sort of emotional reflections of each other.
That's a great way to put it. And what's so profound about Red is its interpretation of fraternity.
Right, it's not the simple version.
No, it's not just about family ties or societal duty. For Kieślowski here, it seems to be this deep reciprocal connection based on what the analysis calls moral kinship, empathy, and emotional resonance.
Moral kinship, I like that.
And it's through that kind of connection, he suggests, that our fundamental human loneliness can actually be soothed.
The symbolism in Red is just so rich, too, like the judge's injured dog, Rita.
Ah, yes, Rita. And her puppies later on.
They become these potent symbols of hope, don't they? Rebirth, life carrying on.
Absolutely. They literally help the judge reconnect with feeling, with life. And they trigger something in Valentine, too, an internal shift.
It's like literal and metaphorical births happening, a renewal.
And the judge's profession itself is fascinating. This man who secretly listens in on his neighbors' lives.
Yeah, that raises all sorts of ethical questions, judgment, privacy.
Definitely. But through his interactions with Valentine, you see this amazing shift in him. He goes from being this detached, almost godlike top-down observer
Looking down on people's lives.
to becoming more of an equal witness, someone engaged with human experience on the same level. It's a subtle but really significant transformation.
And the color red, it's everywhere. It's not just a filter. It feels woven into the fabric of the film.
It really is. Curtains, phone wires, Valentine's clothes. It's saturated.
I was really struck by the commentary on the red phone cables, describing them as invisible links, almost like blood vessels carrying emotions and information.
That captures it perfectly. It suggests these unseen connections exist even between seemingly isolated people.
But red isn't just connection, is it? It has other layers.
Oh, for sure. It's the color of passion, obviously, but also maybe guilt, unease. You feel that with Valentine's jealous boyfriend or the judge's own eavesdropping. It flickers between clarity and something unsettling.
Yet at the same time, it represents the warmth between Valentine and the judge.
Exactly, that unconditional closeness that develops between them. It's built on shared human values, really, especially as Valentine comes to accept his past without judging him. So red holds both passion and compassion.
And what about life and death? Red usually signals danger, blood.
Right, but here Kieślowski kind of flips that. The dog, Rita, survives her accident and gives birth. So red becomes about vitality, continuity, new beginnings.
So it's life, not just death. And maybe desire too. Inner awakening.
Yes, I think so. Repressed desire, maybe, but definitely inner passion and awakening. It perfectly mirrors Valentine's own journey towards self-discovery and connection.
And then there's that ending, the fairy disaster.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Which brings everything together.
We see the main characters from all three films, Julie from Blue, Carol and Dominique from White, among the few survivors, alongside Valentine and the judge.
It's an incredible moment. It reveals this underlying connection, this structural and, well, maybe metaphysical motif of shared destiny running through the entire trilogy.
It suggests their stories were intertwined all along, even if they didn't know it.
Precisely. And Valentine's survival in particular feels like a note of hope, doesn't it? Bringing a sense of profound unity to the whole epic work.
So if we step back and look at the whole trilogy, what's the big picture?
Well, it becomes clear that Kieślowski isn't just ticking boxes for liberty, equality, fraternity as political concepts. He's diving deep into their existential meaning.
How they play out inside us.
Exactly. Deepening the relationship not just between us and society, but within our own inner worlds.
So let's quickly recap that journey.
Sure. Blue gave us freedom, but not as escape, as confronting and accepting our emotional history, finding new meaning even in the pain.
Right, finding freedom through the past.
Then white showed equality, but as this distorted cold power struggle. Equality achieved through revenge, seeking balance by inflicting equal harm.
A much bleaker view.
And finally, red presented fraternity, not as simple brotherhood, but as shared fate, these invisible ties that bind us. It emphasized empathy, confronting the past, and forging those deep, resonant connections.
And visually, his use of color is just masterful.
Oh, absolutely. There are distinct filters, that cold blue, the pale, stark white, the intense, warm red. They aren't just aesthetic choices. They visually communicate everything.
Inner numbness, neutralization, human warmth.
The colors of the story, in a way.
So the Three Colors trilogy, it really feels like this universal reflection.
I think so. On our relationship with our own emotions, with our past, with other people, and maybe even with destiny itself. It's like he crafted this unique, existential, cinematic language.
He truly did. So as you, our listener, reflect on this deep dive, maybe consider how Kieślowski takes us through Blue's solitude, then White's really difficult questions about love and equality that don't get easy answers.
Those unanswered questions.
And finally, into Red's vision of these profound, often invisible connections. It suggests, perhaps, that life doesn't always offer clarity.
No, definitely not neat answers.
But maybe it invites us to accept the contradictions, to find meaning in the journey itself and the unfolding story of human connection. So maybe think about it. What color best defines your own journey through these fundamental human experiences?